Hi everybody, welcome to another video in my series regarding my motorcycle tank and plastic parts for a Suzuki DR350 that I'm currently doing up. So this one is for Clearcoat on the inside of the component, so it's the inside of the plastic parts and it's the inside of the tank, so it's basically the parts that you can't see. So the idea was that I was going to get some matte finish Clearcoat and mix it with a bit of normal, high gloss Clearcoat to make some kind of satin Clearcoat, something in between the two. Now, I've usually used in the past a matting agent in the normal Clearcoat, which, if you use something like 3:1, you get it very matte, and you can adjust outwards towards gloss from there. So this was the idea. The idea was a new approach, because I'd run out of matting agent and I thought, well, I'll get some matte Clearcoat and mix it with the normal Clearcoat, gloss Clearcoat that I have. So I set about making a mix which was 150 millilitres of matte Clearcoat and 50 millilitres of normal gloss Clearcoat, which I thought would give me somewhere around a satin Clearcoat. So I mixed up the 150 and 50 mil plus the hardener. It's a 2K 2-pack Clearcoat plus the hardener. Mixed it up. Looked nice and cloudy in the mixing cup. So I thought everything would be fine. So away we went. Apologies for the camera angle. It's on my head, and this is only the second time I've actually used it on my head, and I'm just getting used to putting it on my head and the angles, etc. Later on it does get a bit better because I adjust it up slightly, but you can see most of it. Anyway, so we're in the UK. The last video I shot, it was about 5 degrees Celsius. The weather's got better and it's currently about 11 or 12. So I'm not using the heat lamp at all, because it should be okay as long as I don't put it on too stupidly, too thick. I shouldn't get any runs within reason. So the idea was, as I say, to do a satin finish for the inside of the parts. It's the inside of the mudguard, inside of the side panels, inside of the tank, etc. So I wanted the durability of a 2K Clearcoat, but without so much of the shine. Really, you don't see any of it, but I always feel that the inside of things should be not so shiny as the outside, if that makes sense. So as you can see, I'm starting to find out that mix I made is still coming out quite glossy. This is just the first coat, just a thin first coat to help it lay down, but already you can see that it's starting to look quite glossy. So I've put some photos at the end so that you can see how glossy it is, and to be honest, I can't. It's nearly as glossy as a normal gloss Clearcoat, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, because, as I say, 2/3 of the mix was matte Clearcoat. I've never used matte Clearcoat before, so maybe they put the wrong stuff in the wrong container. I don't know, but it's cloudy, whereas normal Clearcoat isn't. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so we're starting off now. This is the second coat on the tank. As far as I can remember, we got to the second coat on the tank, so we're just getting ready to do the inside, then the two sides, and then the left and right, and it's pretty difficult to get a smooth, even stroke. So it's a little bit hit and miss, because you can't get no rhythm going really. But you know, it is what it is. You have to do the best you can with the shape of the tank. The outside, of course, the other side will be much easier, because it's free flowing, so you can just move around as and when you want, how you want. So the gun I'm using is a Devilbiss SRI Pro Lite. It's a 1.2 tip. I don't know whether 1.2 actually stands for 1.2 millimeter. I always thought it did, but I've since heard that certain things like Satas and things like that, the 1.2 is actually the same size as a 1.3 in a Devilbiss, the hole. So I don't know whether it's millimeter or not, but it's a 1.2 anyway. Which is, I used an ANI R150 for the base coat, because the base coat is thinner, because it's a high solids clear coat, and the base coat is thinner. So because I didn't want a huge fan, and I didn't want to put too much on because it was so cold, with the clear coat, obviously you want to put a little bit more on to get a reasonable finish. Normally you would go for a glossy finish, and as I say, this is what this is coming out more or less like, which is not really what I was after, but you know, it will be fine. You don't see any of it, so it's just me trying to be different, I suppose. Yeah, I suppose so. So as I say, I've been using the SRI Pro Lite, and it's because the mixture is thicker, so I just chose a bigger needle to just get a bit more material on. And because it's warmer, again, you think to yourself, well, you can actually put a bit more on and get away with it. And a lot of these parts are laying relatively flat. It's only the tank that isn't, and I didn't get, obviously I'm narrating this afterwards, I didn't get any runs on the tank or anything at all. This bit here was where I thought that the mask I'm using was leaking some moisture. Where you breathe and you exhale, you get condensation, and because it's been so cold, the condensation builds up in the mask, and eventually it drips out the small diaphragm at the front, where you exhale. And I thought that's what it was, but it was actually a blob of clear coat. Now, where it come from, I haven't got a clue, because as far as I could see, there was nothing coming out the pot, and it wouldn't be coming out the nozzle, because it's, you know, the nozzle wouldn't allow that much past in one go. So I'm not sure where it come from, but as I say, I thought it was water. I put a small bit of blue roll just to soak it up, and it didn't soak up. So it is just a blob of clear coat, which actually dispersed more or less. It ran out, and if it is, you know, slightly high, it's quite easy just to rub that bit down and just polish it slightly to make it match the rest of it. And the idea of doing the inside of the parts, as I said, it is purely for durability. So again, the mudguard, the inside of the mudguard, it's not, I haven't done the inside of the parts to as good a finish as the outside of the parts, which you'd probably expect, or maybe if you're a connoisseur, then you wouldn't expect that. But from my point of view, it's pointless doing the parts that are not shown to the same level as the parts that are on show. So it's purely from my point of view, it's for durability rather than for aesthetics. And you know, I'm using a 2K product, which you have to be really careful with safety wise. If you read up for your local health and safety authority and ask them the various ways you should handle that product, then they will be able to tell you all the information needed. But you do need to take care, both from a breathing point of view, flammability point of view, etc. But you do get durability with it, which is obviously what I'm after. So we're coming now to the last coat. So this coat is going to go on thicker than any of the others, and as you can see, it's quite glossy already. It is touch dry. That the video is 17 minutes long, but it actually took about an hour and a half just to allow the stuff to go off. It's a fast hardener, or extra fast hardener actually, because as I say, it's about 11-12 degrees when I'm doing this, so it's not cold, but it's not warm either. You can see that I've put around the outside of the tank, on the main parts where your knees would go, just some polythene sheeting, and it's masked off because I don't want the well, what I thought was going to be a satin clear coat on the outside paintwork, so that when I come to doing the outside, then it'll just be a straight job of the gloss clear coat without having to worry about any uneven patches underneath. But as I say, it's not turning out that way anyway. It's coming out quite glossy, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's more glossy than I would like it, but some people. It's certainly better than original from Suzuki. I put a video on doing the base coat, and I put some photographs on the end of that to show you what the tank was like originally. And if you look at if you can be bothered, you look at the inside of the tank. There's very little paint on it at all, very little paint, so it's certainly miles better than that, and presumably will be more durable. I was just checking on the outside of some of these side panels here, that I didn't, where obviously you're getting the overspray on the paper, it gets a bit tacky, and what I didn't want to do was to get too much on the outside of the panel, because it's relatively, well, it's very flat, and ready for spraying, and it would just, you pick up little bits of either lacquer or little bits of paper adhere to it. So I'm trying my best not to touch the good side or the outside of the panels. It actually looks like the outside, but it's not. That is actually the inside. It's just a camera angle, the way it looks. It actually it is the inside, not the outside. But yeah, so again, as I say, thicker coat, nice thick coat, even strokes, no runs, which is good. It just saves you time afterwards, and hopefully it should provide a durable finish. The idea is that when I get, I've ordered some decals, some Suzuki decals for the tank, and some aftermarket decals, which I'm going to have a play with and see what I think can go best on the side panels, etc. Plus a number plate, for on the side panels. Normally on off-road or enduro style bikes, you have a number plate, so that's the idea of it, to do that. So I'm really not sure what I'm going to do as far as that goes, but the inside part of these, I knew exactly what I was going to do, because there's nothing to go on them, just a finish to protect it all, really. So that's exactly what I'm doing. And then when the decals come through, I'll do another video which hopefully will show the top coat going on over the decals, and the finished job. So you'll be able to see what it finishes like at the end. As I say, I've put a few photos on with a camera to give you an idea of what it's turning out like so far, which is pretty good. There's very little flaws, considering I'm doing it in a home environment. You've got to be careful of contamination from all sorts of bits and pieces. You can make the place as dust free as you think it is, but a little bit of dust will always come along. So you need to try and minimise that as best you can. people wet floors and they do all sorts of things. I haven't had too much of a problem, to be fair. So, you know, it's I've been spraying quite a while, and I haven't had that many problems at all. I've got quite a long hose on the airline before the first filter to take out any oil or water that comes through the system. And then I have another line which is about, well, the first line's about 12 meters, which is about 45 foot for you guys in the States. And then I've got the first water trap, and then there's another hose which is about 8-9 meters, and then a water trap which you can see on the end of the gun there, and that's just covered in masking tape, and that's just because I often will let go of it and it taps the floor and it just stops it cracking. It gives it like a cushion. You know, I don't purposely throw it on the floor, but sometimes you let it down and it falls on the floor if you're in a hurry, or whatever, you know, it sometimes happens. So that's the system I use, and it seems to work really, really well. I drain the compressor certainly every couple of days, and if it's an important job, then I drain it on the day. It's people will probably know it's just a screw underneath on a compressor that allows it to expel the water underneath. And the idea of having a longer hose before the first water trap is it gives a chance for the water to condensate into water, so that the trap catches it. If you put your trap right by the compressor, then it doesn't do anything at all, because the stuff is still it's not liquid when it's coming out the compressor, or a fair bit of it isn't liquid. And you'll see here at the end, I'm just doing the showing you really how cloudy the mix is, which is, as I say, supposed to give a matte finish, but it certainly doesn't, and you'll you'll see by the pictures at the end. But you know, I suppose a gloss finish isn't the end of the world, but I know it's what we often aim for, but we don't always want it. Okay, well, thanks for watching. Hope I haven't mumbled on too much. It's always difficult to know what to say during these videos, but hope you've enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll do another one, and you might enjoy that. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Bye.